What's up? What's up? What's up, fam? Day 3 of our 40-day challenge. I know this is still fresh. We've done day 1, day 2, day 3. If you are behind, catch up with us. If you're just starting, we are on a 40-day challenge to discover our purpose. We're on a 40-day challenge with the purpose-driven life. So I'm here giving us little excerpts or little summaries. So I'm here giving us little summaries of every chapter, but together we're reading the book, and together we're going through this journey to discover our purpose. And so chapter 3 talks about what drives you. We talked about the fact in chapter 1 that we are not an accident. In chapter 1 we talked about the fact that everything begins with God. It doesn't begin with our purpose, does not begin with our goals, but it begins with God. We talked in chapter 2 that we are not an accident. You are not an accident. I'm not an accident. Our unique design, makeup, shape, appearance, character, family circumstance, our likes, our dislikes, whatever we find ourselves in, it's not an accident. We were created by love, whether we were born unplanned or planned. God was not taken by surprise. And today we're asking, the question is, what drives you? What drives you? A lot of people are driven by, as the author says, either guilt, resentment, fear, or materialism. And so you have to identify. Chapter 3 is talking about what drives you, giving us that opportunity to identify the things that drive us uniquely. Because what drives you is going to give you, it's going to motivate you, right? Whether it's whatever drives you is going to determine your motivation, your passion, how much you give yourself to that. It's going to determine the direction you take in life. So first question is, what drives you? Identifying that. Are you driven by, the need for approval? Are you driven by fear? Are you driven by resentment? Are you driven by guilt? Discovering your purpose is going to ensure that you are driven by your purpose, and it's going to bring joy, fulfillment, happiness, and all good things. And so I want to go in a little bit to talk about, as the writer talks about guilt. Some people are driven by guilt. So maybe they failed in life, their parents failed, someone failed, and then they did something, it didn't work out. That guilt, whatever it is, that is like a guilt trip, that says, oh, I don't want to repeat this, or I don't want to find myself again in this situation. That is not a good motivation to live life by. If there is anything that's bringing guilt in your life, you should ask for forgiveness from the Lord. You should forgive others so that you can move on. The next thing is resentment. Some people, something happened to you again, similar to guilt. The cure for that is forgiveness. Are you resentful of how someone treated you, so what someone did to you, or whatever situation is bringing resentment or driving you to be resentful, and you're living life with that? That should not be the case, because that's not going to bring fulfillment. That's only going to bring hurt, pain, and all things not good. And so I want you to think about what drives you. The next thing is fear. This one struck me because I've been driven by fear so many times. Fear of success, fear of failure, fear of, not knowing the outcome. I think a lot of people could even find themselves in that category. But when you're driven by fear, you really don't find fulfillment. You don't, you're in a career because, you don't want to not have money, or you don't want to, be broke. Whatever be the situation that, is driven, it's causing fear of the future, fear of things, repeating themselves. The Bible says that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but the spirit of power, the spirit of love, and the spirit of a sound mind. And so I want you to begin to think about that as you're thinking about your purpose. What I am doing, the places I find myself in, is it as a result of fear or is it as a result of purpose? Another thing that drives people is the seeking of approval from man rather than seeking the approval of God. When you live with purpose in mind, and when you find your purpose and you're living with your purpose in mind, all you're going to be looking for is the approval of God. What you're going to be looking forward to is hearing, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." So you have to think about your purpose in terms of, am I seeking man's approval? Am I doing this because I want people to say, "Oh yeah, she has succeeded, she has achieved, she has done big things, or he has done big things"? Why are you doing what you're doing? Is it because you're seeking man's approval? The purpose of another thing is materialism. Materialism is one of the things that drives a lot of people, especially in our current world where it's like the next shiny object. People want to get the luxury cars, the luxury homes, all things luxury, travel, vacation, and all of that, post pictures. It's all about materialism. If you're living that kind of life, I tell you what, when you are working in your purpose, all things are going to be added onto you. Good things are going to come to you. But if you're seeking those things instead, you're going to find that you're not going to be satisfied. I said again earlier, I think it was in yesterday's video, where I talked about the fact that how many times do you hear that some big person killed themselves because maybe they had all the money, the wealth, or their kids or whatever, and then they still ended up dying and leaving all those things behind because the material things they were seeking for did not satisfy them. So identify what drives you, what drives me. I talked about the fact that I've been driven so many times by fear, but with the understanding of purpose and praying about purpose and walking in purpose, it makes you realize that you've not been given. The one who designed you did not design you to live fearful. He did not design you to live like a victim. Someone hurt you, someone did something to you 10 years, 20 years ago, you hold on to that hurt, you hold on to that resentment, that guilt. No, we were not meant to live like that or be driven by that. We were meant to live and be driven by our purpose. The writer as well talks about what happens, benefits of living a purpose-driven life, benefits of living in our purpose. The truth is that when we find our purpose, we get meaning to life. So everything that you do as you in your purpose or in alignment with your purpose, you get meaning. You feel like it's meaningful. You feel fulfilled in doing that thing. The next thing is that when you are working in your purpose, it simplifies your life. You don't have to go 10, 20, 30 different directions. It just simplifies your life. It makes things very simple. Everything you start looking at in terms of your purpose. The next thing he mentions is that it focuses your life. You're going to realize that burnout is going to be out of the picture because you're living with purpose. You're doing what you were born to do and what you're wired to do. And so burnout is out of the picture because everything is centered around that. It focuses your efforts. I think about, and maybe this goes to the point I talked about in terms of simplifying your life, but I think about one of my mentors, Peter J. Daniels. He's a man who, when he came to know the Lord, he found his purpose. And his purpose was to find out how much one man can give out in his entire life. And he did business, he did all kinds of things only to give back. He wanted to know how much he could give back. And in his purpose, he found wealth. He taught people how to make wealth. And he has done so many amazing things. He's 93, he's turning 93 in this month of October. But just people who find their purpose, their lives become simplified, their efforts become focused. Another thing is it motivates you. Just like I was talking about Peter J. Daniels, you're motivated because you have a reason, you have something. He talked about the fact that the great Billy Graham, a man who lived his life to turn many to righteousness, that was his purpose, that was what drove him, and he was driven by how much he could give, one man could give back. It motivates you, it makes you, you're no longer thinking, say you were thinking, being worried, you were sleeping, and you were resentful. No, now even if you're awake, you're thinking purpose, you're motivated by what you're born to do, what you're called to do, and what you're doing. And the last thing he mentions here is that purpose, walking in your purpose, finding your purpose, it prepares you for eternity. It gives you eternal relevance, because life is not just about the here and the now, it's eternal. So when you're walking in your purpose, you'll get you live with eternity in mind, and you get the reward of now, but also eternally you're going to be rewarded. Eternally you're going to be fulfilled. And so that's the summary of day 3. I do hope that you're taking notes, you're having a notepad where you're recording all the things that you're learning. I just want you to have a journal called your purpose journal, and I want you to start making notes and taking down the things that stand out to you as we're doing these videos, as we're going through this journey. And also leave us comments and let us know what blessed you, what stood out to you in this chapter 3. Until tomorrow, I'll see you with chapter 4 on the journey to finding our purpose. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this video with someone, like it, comment, and subscribe to our channel as we're going to be going through this journey. I'll see you tomorrow.